Okay, so we are going to start the first committee session at UNFCCC, and I would like to invite the chair, Mr. Philippus Mikhail, to have the floor.
Hello, Mr. Safri. Okay. Good morning, delegates. Good morning, committees, and good morning, the lecturers of International Relations Program of UTY. Okay, so let me introduce myself again. So my name is Philippus Mikhail, but you can call me Miko for short. Okay, I will be chairing the UNFCCC Council for this MUN, the HIMAHI Youth Model United Nations. Pleased to meet you all, delegates, and hope we could have wonderful and fruitful discussions throughout the conference. Okay, so technicians, could you share the MUN Command website? Okay, first, the committee, I believe that the committee have sent you delegates the ROP, the rules of procedures. So there are some points that you need to understand. First is the scope. Okay, I'm sorry, my camera didn't detect me. Okay, I'm still there, but my camera didn't detect me with this VBG. Okay, so the scope is the general rules that apply, like directly from the rules from UNFCCC. Okay, the delegation. Okay, the delegation is you are the representative of countries that officially entitled within the UNFCCC, and then the powers of the committee staff. Okay, since there are no co-chairs, there is no co-chair, so I will be the only chair for the council. Basically, the chair have the power to consult with the delegates about what motions should be done, how to do the motions, answer your questions about particular questions about the MUN, and etc. So please don't hesitate if you have any questions regarding the procedures, regarding procedures of the MUN. Okay, and also the fourth point is that courtesy. Well, even though it is conducted online, the committee believe that the delegates could behave properly, could behave appropriately within the accepted norm and accepted courtesy level. Thank you very much. Next. Okay, so electronic device. Since you are now using laptop as well, which is considered an electronic device, yeah. Okay, so you are permitted to use electronic device to your advantages and to your works in the council. Dress code, standard Western business attire. So basically, suit and tie, or just shirt, formal shirt. Okay, and opening speeches. Okay, so after the conference started, there will be an opening speech, which is sometimes called GSL. Okay, so later on we will explain how to do that. Okay, how to do that, and then debate. It is often called the opening of the floor. So the delegates have the rights to propose motions, which is either moderated or unmoderated caucus, as explained below. Okay, so moderated caucus to facilitate substantive debate, the goal of it, and the unmoderated caucus is to allow the delegate to converse freely without the turns to speak. Next. Okay. There are also some points. First of all, points of orders. If the delegates have encountered that the chairs or any committees or any other delegates have done things, have acted in a way that is not appropriate or is not in line with the ROP, please raise these points of orders if you think that it is necessary. In the draft resolutions later on, nearing the conclusion of the conference, you will need to propose, the delegates will need to propose a draft resolutions, which is later on will be voted to become a resolution for the conference. Okay, substantive voting meaning that only refers to the voting of the draft resolutions, meaning that those in the roll call session who did not choose present only, must vote and cannot be abstained. However, if those delegates were in fact in the roll call session chooses to be present only, then they could abstain. Okay, and then technicalities, we could skip that. Next, please. Okay. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so we could start. So this is all the countries, yeah, committee, the countries that the delegates will represent. Okay, if these 16 countries are the representatives for this conference, for the UNFCCC in this conference, then we could start. By the way, scroll down, I believe. No, not the countries list, the whole website. Scroll down within the whole website. Within the whole website. Okay. Well, to conduct the roll call, we need to start the conference first. There will be a session for that. If we could start the roll call. Well, I asked the committee earlier that are these 16 countries the delegates that will represent in the UNFCCC. If it is true, then we could start the conference. Okay. Yeah, if they are here. Okay. Okay, if it's true, then we'll go start the event right away. If you could scroll down within the whole website, there will be a button to start the conference. The rightmost. Okay, now there you go. Start session, and then conduct roll call. We need to conduct the roll call. No, you could just press the conduct roll call button in the right. Yes, okay. Okay, so delegates, good morning. We will start the conference, but before that, we will start by doing the roll call. Okay, if I call your country's name, please state whether you are present and voting or present. Okay, the delegate of Brazil. Okay, delegate of Brazil. Counting twice. Okay, delegate of Brazil is absent. Delegate of Canada. Canada. The delegate of Canada is absent. The delegate of China. Delegate of China is absent. The delegate of Denmark.
Present.
Thank you very much, delegate of Denmark. Press the P. The middle. Okay. Thank you very much, delegate of Denmark. Delegate of Egypt. Delegate of Egypt is absent. Delegate of France.
Thank you, Chair. We're present and voting.
Thank you very much, delegate of France. Okay. Delegate of Germany. Delegate of Germany. Yeah. For those of you delegates who have just joined the conference, you could state whether you are present and voting or present in the chat box, and then the technicians will count them. Okay. Delegate of India. India. Okay. The delegate of Indonesia.
Thank you, Chair. Delegate Indonesia is present and voting.
Thank you very much, delegate of Indonesia. Delegate of Japan. Delegate of Japan. Okay. Delegate of Japan is absent. Delegate of Malaysia. Okay. Malaysia is absent. Delegate of the Russian Federation.
The delegate of Russian Federation is present and voting.
Thank you very much, Russia. Delegate of Sweden. Sweden. Okay, Sweden is absent. Delegate of Turkey. Turkey. Turkey absent. Turkey is absent. Delegate of Tuvalu. Tuvalu is not here. The delegate of the United Kingdom. Okay. So, okay, we will start from the beginning again. Okay, so I see in the participants list there are some names that have not been. Could you please rename with your countries? Okay, so we will start again. Okay, as I see the delegates that have not been stated yet. Okay, delegate of France, are you present and voting or present?
Present and voting, Chair.
Thank you very much, delegate of France. Alia Hamida, what countries are you? Okay, Alia Hamida is not responding. Vini Aptalia, what country are you?
Indonesia, Chair.
Thank you very much. Okay, so could you please rename that as well? Yeah? Okay. Kishna Kamalia Zulfa, I believe you are representing China.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So are you present and voting?
Yes,
Okay.
delegates from China present and voting.
Thank you very much. Okay. Delegate of Brazil, are you present and voting? Brazil, I see you there. Brazil.
I'm sorry. Yes, Brazil is present and voting.
Thank you very much, delegate of Brazil. Japan, I see you. Are you present and voting?
For Japan, present.
Okay, thank you very much. Is Aina representing a country here? Okay, we will. So for those delegates who have not renamed themselves with their country's name, with their country they're representing, please state later on if you are present or voting in the chat. Okay. So we will now move into the conference session. Okay, done. Okay, press done. Scroll up. First, scroll up first. Okay, with 7 delegates present, the majority is 4 and the 2/3 majority 5. So the majority is needed to pass a motion. And later on, if we would pass a draft resolution, we would need 4 as well. Okay, press done. Done. Press done. Okay, thank you very much. So we will now conduct the GSL. Is it already in the GSL? Okay, so the agenda. Please change the agenda to GSL. GSL. Okay, thank you very much. So I believe that GSL is 1.5 minute speaking time. However, are there any motions to change the GSL individual speaking time? Okay, thank you. Okay, Franz, you have been recognized.
Thank you, Chair. We motion to modify the GSL time to 90 seconds.
Okay, thank you very much, Delegate of France. Okay. Are there any delegates who are not in line with France's motion? Okay. Seeing none, we will change the individual speaking time for TCSL to 1.5 minutes. Technicians, would you please change it in the yellow button in the left side, second from left. Yes. 1 minute and 30 seconds. 30 seconds. 30. Okay, thank you very much. So, okay, could you please remove Franz from the current speaker yet, because we have an open for those who wants to speak in the GSL. How do you remove it? Okay, well, Franz, are you comfortable speaking first in the GSL?
Sure thing.
Okay, thank you very much. Oh, where's the website? Technician? Technician. Okay. Okay, so for other delegates who wants to be included in the GSL, please raise their hand. Delegates, this is the GSL. So for those of you who do not know what a GSL is, basically in the span of 1.5 minutes, you could speak regarding anything, but make sure that you touch upon the main topic of this conference. Okay, so nice. Could you please press Indonesia in the right? Okay, Indonesia. Indonesia. Just press the Indonesia. Okay, so thank you very much, Indonesia. You could lower your hand. So China, you have been recognized. Okay, Delegate of Denmark, you have been recognized as well. We will accept 2 more. Okay, Brazil, you have been recognized. Okay, we will go on with this first. Okay, Delegate of France, your 1 minute and half speaking time starts whenever you are ready.
Thank you very much, Chair, for the recognition. Honorable chairs and fellow delegates, firstly, France is very excited to be part of this conference. Firstly, because the UNFCCC does actually present a wonderful opportunity for everyone to kind of reevaluate the progress that we've been making towards renewable energy and seeing if there are any conditions or concerns that other member states have in regards to the transitioning away from fossil fuels, right? Because France is very aware of the COVID-19 pandemic and how it has negatively affected the progress towards the 2030 agenda. We think that at the end of the day, the UNFCCC must reevaluate everything that has been going on for now. For example, country-specific targets. We recognize that many countries here are from the developing world, for example, China and Brazil, and we think that we can also evaluate them closer and take a look as to why they have not fulfilled their international obligations and target goals. Now, of course, France completely understands that many countries here have different priorities when it comes to the energy sector. In fact, many countries here are very much dependent on fossil fuels still. Now, France is very happy to announce that we have tried to detransition away from fossil fuels, and that is a work in progress. And we understand that every country here in this council is also working towards that. But we know that progress is slow, but we need to make sure that progress is also steady. We're very excited to be here in this conference. We'll look forward to working together with our delegates.
Technicians, you could just reset it, reset, okay, reset it, okay, press reset button, the light blue one, okay. So, okay, very sorry, delegates, that was a technical difficulty. So the next one to speak is the delegate of Indonesia. Indonesia, your 1 minute and a half speaking time starts whenever you are ready.
Thank you, Chair. The Honorable Chair and fellow delegates. Okay, climate change is occurring and is widely recognized to be a serious risk to development. Unprecedented events in climate change are taking place. Modernization and improvements in technology like the human population explosion. At the same time, fossil fuels are becoming the energy source of choice. If we continue to rely on fossil fuels, we will double pre-industrial atmospheric carbon dioxide levels in a few decades and possibly triple by the end of the century. As a result, according to the most estimate, the planet will rapidly warm to a level that has never been experienced by humans. The health of planet, people, and survival depend on productive agriculture and supplies of water, forest products, and fish. All of this will affect the economy as well. Meanwhile, the delegates of Indonesia would like to remind all states to recognize this as priority within any policy and solution. Thank you.
Okay, pause.
Thank you.
Okay, so the delegate of Indonesia, how would you like to yield your time? Okay, so if the delegates do not know, so yielding means that in GSL, if you have more than 15 seconds of remaining times from your individual speaking time, you need to yield your time either to the chair. So either to the chair, you return your time to the chair. The second one is you yield your time to Q&A. So basically, the other delegates could raise questions to you, which later on you would answer them. Or the third, you would yield your time to other delegates. So the other delegates get your remaining time in their speaking time. Okay. So delegate of Indonesia, how would you like to yield your time?
Thank you, Chair. Back to the chair.
Thank you very much, delegate of Indonesia. So also listen to other delegates as well. Okay, next speaker, please. Technician. Okay, reset it first. Reset. Thank you very much. The next delegate to speak is the delegate of China. Have you reset that?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you for the time. To the distinguished chairperson of the audience and representative from several countries in the world, I, as a representative of China delegation, are honored to stand here to convey my opinions from China's state to the issue of climate change, with the theme of session is transformation of fossil energy into renewable energy as a prevention of the climate change. I'm standing in front of you all, not an expert in geography and climate, but I am a citizen who cares about solving climate change problems in the world. I will express my opinion on the issues of climate change. Regarding the climate change that has occurred in one of the most important dangerous impact for China, especially for our citizens. We as international community certainly can't ignore the problem of climate change, which is increasing by the day with the impact it has on countries in the world itself. And this issue also has occurred a long time ago. The survey team from usewitch.com has mapped countries that have a direct impact on the effect of climate change, where China itself ranked first for the total number of people affected of 313 billion people. And China became the first country most affected by global warming with a score 9.98 out of 10. Total that are more than 1 million people. Of course, the existence
Thank you very much, Delegate of China. Your time has elapsed.
Thank you.
Okay. Next speaker, please, technician. Okay, the next delegate to speak is the delegate of Denmark. Reset. No, reset. Okay, delegate of Denmark, your time to speak starts whenever you're ready.
I don't want to be hopeful. I want you to panic. That's a quote from Greta Thunberg, a quote that changed the view on the world regarding climate change problem. Thank you, chairs, for giving me the time. We, as from the delegates of Denmark, are very excited to be present in this conference. In 2019 itself, Denmark population was around 5.8 million people, representing only a third, or 1.3% of total the European Union population. Even though the percentage seems small, but in 2019, each Danish citizens emitted an average of 8.2 tons of carbon emissions to atmospheres. To put in comparison, each person can produce an equivalent weight of 1 million backsoil. Greenhouse gas emission in Denmark in 2018 amounted to 57 million tons of carbon dioxide, which constitutes about 0.5% of the total net emission in EU. It means that European Union total emission can reach to 5 billion tons. However, the country of Denmark has slowly reduced by 70% GHG emission by 2030 and will be climate neutrality by 2050. In addition, government will stay humble. Thank you.
Thank you very much, delegate of Denmark. We will move on to Brazil and Russian Federation turn to speak in the next GSL session. We will now move on to the motions. Okay. You could reset this. Okay. Motions. Okay, move to the motions. So the floor is now open for points and motions. For delegates who have points or motions, they may raise their hand. Okay, Delegate of France, you have been recognized.
Thank you, Chair. We motion for a moderated caucus with a total time of 10 minutes and an individual speaker's time of 1 minute to discuss the progress towards renewable energy. Thank you.
Technician. Okay, you could add motion there. Yeah, okay. Thank you very much, Franz. That is very helpful. Okay, so the duration is 10. The individual speaking time is 1. Submitting country, France. You change the submitting country in the left, the search bar. France. Now, okay, it is automatically the topic. It has been stated by France in the chat box. Okay. Duration is 10 minutes. Individual speaking time is 1 minute. Okay, press submit. Submit. Okay, thank you very much. Any other delegates who wants to raise points or motions? Counting once, counting twice, counting thrice. Okay, seeing no other motions being okay. Delegate of China, let me recognize.
The topic is Sustainable Development Technology, and the duration is 5 minutes.
Sustainable development energy.
Technology.
Sustainable development technology. Okay, and what is the individual speaking time? Delegate of China?
2 minutes.
2 minutes. Okay.
Yes.
If it's 2 minutes, would you like to change the duration to 6 minutes, or any other numbers that could be divided by 2?
Yes, I want to change become 10 minutes.
10 minutes. Okay, thank you very much. Change it to 10. Okay, then submit. Okay, thank you very much. Any other delegates who wants to motions? Counting once, counting twice, counting thrice. Seeing none, we will start by voting upon the most disruptive motion proposed by the delegate of France, which is to discuss the progress towards renewable energy for the total speaking time of 10 minutes and the individual speaking time of 1 minute. For those of you who are in favor of this motion, please raise their hand. Raise their hand. Okay. Okay. Counting once. Counting twice. Counting thrice. Okay, there are 3 votes in favor of this motion. For those of you who are against this motion, for those of you who are against this motion, okay, since this is a procedural voting, everybody has to vote, even if they are in favor or they are against. Okay, so for those of you who are against this motion, please raise their hand. Okay, China, okay, Denmark, China, I have not seen you. Okay, okay. Russia, please vote. Japan, please vote. Russia, Japan, Japan. I think Japan has technical difficulties. Okay, seeing 3 votes in favor. Okay, seeing 3 votes in favor, which is not the required 4 votes to pass the motion. This motion fails. Fails. Okay, move back to the motions. Okay, so okay, we will now vote about the next motion coming from the delegate of China, which is to discuss the sustainable development technology with the duration of 10 minutes and the speaking time of individual speaking time of 2 minutes. For those in favor of this motion, please raise their hand. Okay, okay. Counting once, counting twice. Okay, okay. Counting once, counting twice. Okay, for the the chairs recognize 4 votes in favor of this motion. Okay, for those against this motion. Okay, Counting once, counting twice. Okay, with 4 votes in favor of this motion passes. Okay, so delegate of China, would you like to speak first or last?
I want to speak last.
Okay, so we will add China later on. Okay, for those of you who wants to be included in the speaker's list for this motion, please raise their hand. Okay, delegate of France, you have been recognized. Please press France. Okay, and then Brazil, you have been recognized. Okay, Denmark, you have been recognized. Denmark, technician. Okay, thank you very much. We will still need one more. Okay, one more delegate to speak before delegate of China. Okay, delegates, you voted for this. Okay, under the chair's discretion, we will invite Indonesia to speak upon this motion. Again, and then China. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, delegate of France, your 2-minute speaking time starts whenever you are ready.
Thank you, Chair, for the recognition. And of course, thank you, Delegate of China, for proposing this motion. This is how we interpret your motion. Firstly, we think that you're looking into how we can utilize technology to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. And we think that firstly, it's very important to highlight the role of green technology. So for example, proper waste management procedures, and of course, making sure that technology that is being used in the status quo right now does not have as much environmental impact as they had before. That means that, let's say, technologies that are being used are using less electricity than before, and when it's disposed, it does not actually become a problem for the environment. We think that at the end of the day, green technology can indeed support the Sustainable Development Goals. We don't have an issue with this. What is the biggest problem in the status quo is that many countries that actually do need green technologies are unable to acquire these green technologies simply because, number one, maybe because they don't really have as many resources to afford these green technologies, or secondly, because progress towards the development of these green technologies are actually very centered around the global north, in a sense that all these institutions that research green technologies and develop them are placed in countries that technically do not really need or benefit from green technologies as much as these poorer countries are. So France would really like to discuss more about the possibility of technology transfer, in a sense that we give developing countries opportunities to essentially produce their own green technologies at an affordable price, and of course to ensure that people from these developing countries are actually adopting green technology into their households, right? We are also talking about industrial adoption, in a sense that we also want factories in your countries, especially if your country has a history of poor environmental record. We want them to start adopting more eco-friendly technologies to work towards the Sustainable Development Goals. That is all. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, delegate of France. The next to speak is the delegate of Brazil. Okay, next speaker. Reset it first. Reset. Okay, thank you very much. Delegate of Brazil. Yes, 2 minutes speaking time of yours starts whenever you're ready.
All right, thank you so much for the recognition, Chair. So Brazil has been dedicated to in the invention of sustainable development of the technologies provided by how we have been investing in solar panels and wind energy focused machineries. We think that in the face of the climate crisis, which is one of the most prevalent agenda of United Nations, which is also according to the Sustainable Development Goals, it is also needed for the sustainable development technologies to be prioritized by governments all over the world, and stopping for things that will harm the environment further, because we know that the existence of harms, including the emissions of greenhouses, the change in climate or even in the seasons, and also the rising existence in environmental refugees from archipelago nations, for instance, is also in line with the focus of United Nations to create more green technologies. So what we propose to do is that according to the redistribution and supply of green technologies, because we acknowledge that most countries doesn't really have the renewable sources or even supply, not like Brazil that has a lot of machineries or even supplies like the abundance of sun rays and wind, for instance. So we think that there is a need of trading and market that focuses on this and on this issue of supply to redistribute further the means of green technologies, and also to help a lot of developing countries for the most important part, in order for them to also contribute to the causes and to save the environment. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Delegate of Brazil. Okay, next speaker. Okay, reset first. Reset. Thank you very much. Delegate of Denmark, your 2 minutes speaking time starts whenever.
Thank you, Chair, for the time. We would like to talk first about the background factors of why sustainable energy progress is being so far very, very rapidly increased. First, we believe there's 2 points of factors that significantly contributes to this factor. First is the war between Ukraine and Russia that contributes to more independent countries, or on being independent by their energy. And secondly is due to COVID pandemic that forces these countries to become independent on their energy sources. We believe that our countries such as Denmark in terms of their technology on sustainable renewable energy. We believe that our own benefits such as solar and wind panels, that we believe that with the help of the United Nations and also other members of the countries in this meeting itself, we will actually being contributed, as the countries or the Council of France said, that we can actually contribute more technologies to developing nations because they needed the most, rather than us, the developing or the developed nations itself. So we believe that even if the progress of sustainable energy is very, very rapidly, not all countries have received the same amount of progress as they should. And one of the countries that should receive more is the countries of developing countries such as Indonesia and Southeast Asian countries, and actually Asians and underdeveloping nations such forward. So we believe once again that countries with the most or the bad or the records of most bad records on pollutions and emissions should have the most technology or sustainable energy. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Delegate of Denmark. Okay, so the next one to speak is the Delegate of Indonesia. Indonesia, your 2 minutes speaking time starts whenever you're ready.
Okay, thank you, Chair. Acknowledge the importance of promoting of sustainable production and consumption methods to ensure the betterment of the environment as a means to and towards sustainable of life. Further, recognize the struggle of shifting towards eco-friendly and sustainable methods of production and consumption. Reaffirm the importance of a strategic and solid tactic to assess and transition towards sustainable and methods. So the delegates of Indonesia calls upon member states to acknowledge that the promoting of sustainable is a detrimental aspect to saving the environment as a concern of all nations, both developed and developing are facing. Back to the chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Delegate of Indonesia. Okay, so in motion settings, not in GSL, you do not need to yield your time. You do not need to yield your time. You could just say thank you very much, and it will be ended. Okay, the last one to speak in this motion is the proposer, Delegate of China. China, your 2 minutes speaking time starts whenever you are ready.
Thank you, Chair, for the time. China committed to collaborating with countries and international organizations. I want to thank you to delegate from France who have the motion to renewable energy. Such as we know, the United Nations Framework Convention of Climate Change, or UNFCCC, as agency of the United Nations is we have to increasing action that can reduce carbon gas emission, namely by planting forests on a large scale, which of course can be done in cooperation with other countries and international organizations in economic terms, in the form of pursuing superior tree seeds in order to create quality oxygen with sustainable development technology. A new Chinese government's policy document says that the economy and society are the increased risk due to climate change. This condition encourage China to need improved adaptation mechanism and monitoring capabilities at every level of government. Sustainable development energy will also aim to establish a national risk and impact assessment system by 2035, wherein China will need major projects to include climate and environment impact and melting profiles. It will also improve early warning capabilities and also increasing the risk of flooding is predicted. The government will strengthen monitoring of the river and lakes to improve flood control and improve water supply security. And action taken will also reform water price and impose binding consumption standards in case area. Thank you. Back to the chairperson.
Thank you very much, Sergit. Again, you do not need to use your time in motion set. Okay, we'll move back, opening of the floor. The mod. Technician, could you please move back to the motions? Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so the floor is now open again. Okay, yes, Denmark. Could you please explain your point of order?
Thank you for the time and chance, Mr. Chair. I would like to give the point of order to the country or the delegates from Japan to activate the camera, because we believe that as a country, we have all the same rights and obligations, and seeing all the participants here are the country's delegates turning on their camera and being the only one who doesn't turn on the camera, we believe that from the country of Denmark, it is very, very unfair and very, very ignorant of them to do such a thing. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Delegate of Denmark, for the point. Okay, Delegate of Japan, could you please turn on your camera and later on actually participate in the voting session? Japan. Japan. Okay. Seeing Japan's inactiveness, could you please move back to the roll call? Okay, a technician. No, just move back to the roll call. Could you do that? The roll call. Yes, conduct roll call again. Okay, press the conduct roll call again. Okay, so we put Japan on absent list. So okay, seeing their inactiveness. Okay, absent. Okay, done. Okay. Okay. By virtue that Japan is not active at the very moment, and to answer the point of order from the delegate of Denmark, the compromise is to put Japan on the absent list, that it would not negatively affect the conference. Okay, so now the delegate presence are 6, and the majority vote to pass the motion is 4. Okay, the floor is now open for more points and motion. Please, for those delegates who have points or motion, please raise their hand. Okay, delegate of Denmark, you have been recognized.
I want to state a motion is unmoderated caucus. Sorry, my apologies. And with the topic of renewable energy, as Franz stated before, that we want to discuss about this topic under duration of 10 minutes, and speaking, and yeah. Thank you.
So delegates, to clarify, okay, so in unmod, you do not need to state the topic, since unmod is basically a free for all conversation mode. Okay, but if you do want to propose a caucus with a topic, then you propose it with, in the setting of moderated caucus. So do you choose to propose a moderated caucus or still with unmoderated caucus?
I still stick with my decision and statement that it will be unmoderated caucus with a
Okay.
time of 10 minutes.
Okay, thank you very much. 10 minutes duration.
Can I state first the reason on why before we
you could do that.
continue to the voting?
Okay.
Okay, I will briefly state the reason behind we want to delegate this motion is because I think we all here as a delegation have something to say about this renewable energy or energies or sustainable renewable energies, and we want to discuss our points of view. And I don't want this to be limited by the topics that will be given by this motions. So I want, that's why we as the delegates of Denmark would like to present the motion of unmoderated caucus. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Delegate of Denmark. Okay, Brazil, you have been recognized. Please state your motions or points.
Delegate of Brazil proposes topic in moderated caucus under the topic of limiting fossil fuels usage and the production of fossil fuels for the duration under the duration of 16 minutes with the individual speaking time of 2 minutes. The duration of 16 minutes. Under the topic of limiting fossil fuels usage.
Didn't you state that the topic was limiting fossil fuel usage in the production of fossil fuels? So are you amending your topics, your caucus topics?
No, sorry. The correct one was the previous one. So limiting fossil fuel usage and the production of, yes.
Okay, thank you very much, Delegate of Brazil, for the clarification. Okay, submit the proposal. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, Delegate of France, you have been recognized.
Thank you, Chair. We propose a 10-2 moderated caucus to discuss major polluting countries. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Delegate of France. Denmark, do you have a point? You are unmuting yourself.
My apologies.
Okay, thank you very much. Major polluting countries, the topic, the duration is 10-2. The topic is major polluting countries. Polluting. Okay, that's good enough. Okay, submit. Okay, so we will now vote upon the most destructive motion first, coming from the Delegate of Denmark, which is to conduct an unmoderated caucus with the total duration of 10 minutes. For those in favor, please raise their hand. Okay, please vote, delegates. Please vote, delegates. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, counting once, counting twice. Okay, for those against this motion, please raise their hand. Indonesia, are you against or in favor of this motion?
Sorry, Chair, my connection is bad just now.
Okay, so you are in favor of this motion or against?
Yeah, I vote this
Okay.
motion.
Okay, seeing a unanimous decision to conduct this motion passes. Okay, delegates. So for those of you who do not understand yet about unmoderated caucus, basically it is a free-for-all conversation scheme. So you could speak without any speaking order. You could speak about anything as long as it is in line with the topic of the conference. Okay, so you do not need a turn-based list like in moderated focus. Okay, so delegates, your 10 minutes unmoderated focus starts whenever there are delegates that start to speak.
Right, so first of all, since Denmark proposed this topic, firstly, thank you very much. If you have any things that you'd like to say specifically, I'd like to give you the floor. So Denmark, would you like to kind of start?
Of course, of course. Thank you for voting with these motions. The purpose of these motions is to be able or to provide the availability for all of you, the councils, to speak about what you want to speak, about the topics that maybe cannot be passed during the meetings itself. So here we can talk about anything we want, but please be respectful and mindful about your time so that you cannot take other people's time too much. So again, that's all for me for my introduction briefly. I will continue to my point, which is that I believe that with the statement that is motion outed from the countries of Indonesia, such as limiting the fossil fuels, I think that it is very, very easy for countries of developed nations such as Denmark, the European Union, America, and so on to do that. But for developing nation, it is very hard to transfer or transition from renewable and from fossil fuels to renewable energy. And instead of limiting it, what you should do, I think we believe that you should actually try to provide the technologies to provide the alternative other than using fossil technologies itself. Thank you.
We'd like to give developing countries specifically an opportunity to also respond to the statement. So perhaps the delegate of Indonesia, would you like to start with the response? If that's okay for you. If not, a delegate of Brazil, perhaps, since you're also a developing country.
Yes, I want to respond to the delegate of Denmark. Previously, thank you for the opportunity. I want to respond to the Denmark statement of limiting fossil fuels and creating the supply of alternative energy. I mean, even though we are a developing nation, but we are in fact one of the most advantageous nation in the opportunity to have a form of renewable energy, since of our abundant supply in terms of renewable energy, most importantly for solar panels and wind energy machineries. However, I do think that it is not mutually exclusive for the usage of green technologies and the limitation of fossil fuels to be conducted together. It can coexist with each other, and we think that the shifts in the market, the demand in the market of green technologies can also be created while we are also limiting the fossil fuel energy. I do think that developed nations need to be more responsible in terms of this, since historically they contribute to more pollution since the centuries before. I also believe that countries like China, that is one of the major polluter in the current decade, in the current ages, need to be more morally responsible to create a more alternative and environmentally sustainable means of producing, and for their corporations to be more environmentally friendly policies as well. That is all. Thank you.
Right, there's a lot to unpack here, but delegate of China, would you like to respond to the statements by Brazil?
Yes, I want to respond the motion of the delegation of Denmark. So I think the motion is right, because this motion is with our country is related with the move to prevention effort to communities affected by climate change issues, by starting like Brazil and France, by starting strategic talks about the dangers of carbon emission through eco-friendly and this renewable energy environment management, and that connected with each other. And these activities are like research screening with the planting of large scale and investment. And I think that the innovative of these large cities and investment in subway infrastructure, that's enough.
Right. Before we move forward, we think maybe Russia, because haven't really spoken. So Russia, you have the floor if you have anything you'd like to say about this topic in general. Delegate of Russia.
Okay, thank you very much for the time. Many countries speaks that limiting the fossil fuels is one of the best plans, but Russia thinks that raises the level of research and technology renewable is really have to be the best plans, because if we just limiting the utilize the fossil fuels, we cannot. I'm sorry. You can hear my voice.
Yes, you're audible. Don't worry. Please continue.
Okay. Okay. Because limiting the use of fossil fuels is just limiting the it just it just it, it just postpone the fossil. I'm sorry, I cannot speak.
Oh, it's okay. If you want, maybe you can write down in the chat as well. If you can't really find the words, that's totally fine. Denmark, since you're unmuted, would you like to, respond to that?
Yeah. I think I would be respectful, but I think we can yield the time to France. You can have the floor. Thank you.
All right. So firstly, there's a lot to unpack here, but I think I understand what Russia's trying to go for it. Pretty similar to Brazil's perspective on this issue. You're trying to say that fossil fuels inevitably still has a place in the status quo, and that the transition cannot be mutually exclusive. For example, we need to 100% remove fossil fuels from the status quo. That is not possible. I think that is the thing that Russia is trying to say, and that's the thing that Brazil has explicitly stated. So a couple of responses to that. Firstly, we understand that the transition towards renewable energy itself, it takes progress, right? It's a step-by-step progress. We cannot start by immediately banning all fossil fuels, because firstly, renewable energy such as wind turbines do not actually generate as much electricity as fossil fuels, and we totally understand it's also probably much more expensive compared to fossil fuels. So that's the reason why fossil fuels are so well utilized in the status quo, because it's cheap and it also generates a lot of power. So we totally understand that first aspect that they're trying to stay, and we think we can also address this in future committee sessions about that energy gap between fossil fuels and rest. But secondly, for China, we think that there needs to be greater accountability measures, because even though in the status quo you've already stated we're going to move to renewable energy, but in the status quo right now that you are a major polluting country in the world, that is fine if you are willing to move towards progress, but we also need to see commitments for that. So we think we can also talk about how to make sure that you'll follow through with the promises you'll be making in this council. But that's totally fine. We very welcome cooperation. Delegate of Denmark, floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. I just want to have a brief question about so we talk about a lot of majoring countries or polluting countries, and one of the most polluting countries, the first major polluting country in the world is actually China. So I'm asking a question is, what are your steps and goals to actually cover up your pollutions problem? Because the countries of China has been polluting about billions of total emissions to the atmosphere, and the effect is on all of us. So what are your steps to actually cover this? Thank you.
Delegate of China, floor is yours.
Yeah, the action of China, or I as a representative for delegation of China, with the more technology, not the renewable energy, but we have to move to the action, not the talking about eco-friendly and renewable development, but we have to do the action with Charlie, like preventing through green technology with the tribe of United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, with the spread of technology we can collaborating with Japan, France, and etc. like that.
Yeah, sorry, I have to speak about this.
such as country as Brazil has talked about how they actually solve the problem with technology such as wind panels and solar panels. And my countries and friends, we talk about what are the technologies. So my question is what kind of technologies that China has already provided to actually tackle the environmentalist problem? You may go ahead, Brazil. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. So I think that delegates of Denmark is needing your explicit statement for what is your practical actions of delegate China into the environmental sustainability projects. Since I know that you want cooperations and all of that, but we as the United Nations member need your practical concessions of what is actually your action, since you are the major polluting countries. So I think the reminder of the time should be prioritized for your explanation on that.
Right. Before that, I'd like to give in my 2 cents as well. So firstly, to actionables, we think that if China is very serious in their commitments to, let's say, moving to transition to renewable energy, they need to be very open to monitoring measures from UNFCCC and generally the international community, right? Because in the status quo, the legalizing, let's say, the contracts that we're making, the agreements that we're making are not exactly legally binding. It's just countries making commitments, countries making declarations. But if China really wants the actionables, we think there needs to be monitoring mechanism. They need to be more transparent in what they're doing in the country. So that also includes the data sharing, right? So we know that there's very little time left. So we're very sorry to all delegates, but maybe we can continue this in moderated caucuses. It's a good discussion. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Delegate. That was a wonderful starting on moderated caucus session. So we will return back to the moderated. Could you please erase the motion, clear all motions? Technicians, clear all motions. Okay, you can just press that. Okay, so the motions that are available to you are, of course, moderated caucus and also the extension of previous unmoderated caucus for maximum time of 5 minutes. However, the chairs do suggest the delegates to propose a moderated caucus, since there are more critical juncture that you could explore more in moderated caucus. Okay, so press X first. Okay. Okay. So the delegates who wants to raise points of motion, please raise their hand. Okay, Franz, you have been recognized.
Thank you, Chair. We propose a 12-minute moderated caucus with 2 minutes individual speakers time on the topic of enhancing accountability measures to major polluting countries. It's also in the chat. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Delegate of France. 12 to 2. Is that correct, Franz? 12 to 2. 12. Technician 12. Okay, thank you very much. Submit. Okay, Delegate of Brazil, you have been recognized.
Thank you, Chair. Brazil proposes for 2 minutes, 2 minutes individual speaking time under the topic of explanation of practical implementations for policy regarding to green technologies. Practical with the duration of 10 minutes.
Okay, could you please also write down your topics, caucus topics on the chat box, please, Brazil?
I am right. I think I'm writing it on chat right now. Please wait for a second.
Okay, appreciate it. The technicians, the topics is in the chat box. Okay, thank you very much, Delegate of Brazil. And the last is the Delegate of China. China, you have been recognized.
Yes, I want to give the moderate sketches with the topic is establish the action of sustainable development technology and cooperated with the rest of the world on climate change. With the duration is 10 minutes and individual speaking is 2 minutes.
Okay, the topics is what earlier? It's quite lengthy.
Can I text in?
Yeah. That would be very helpful. Thank you. Okay, thank you very much, Delegate of China. Your motion has been recognized. Okay, so we have collected three proposals for caucuses. We will now vote upon the most disruptive motion first, coming from the Delegate of France, to discuss about enhancing accountability measures to major polluting countries for the total duration of 12 minutes and speaking time of 2 minutes. Okay, for those in favor of this motion, please raise their hand. Raise your hand, delegates, if you are in favor of this motion. Okay, counting once, counting twice, counting thrice. Okay, seeing 5 votes in favor. Okay, for those who are against this motion, please raise their hand. I think Brazil is experiencing technical. Okay, Brazil, are you against or in favor of this motion?
I'm in favor. Sorry, there was a disruption in my networks.
Yes, I could see that. Okay, thank you very much, Delegate of Brazil. Seeing a unanimous vote in favor of this motion automatically passes. Okay, thank you very much. France, do you want to speak first or last?
France will speak first, please. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Okay, France. Okay. For other delegates who wants to be included in this motion, please raise their hand. There are rooms for all the delegates in this motion. Okay, please raise your hand, delegates. All of you have voted in favor of this motion. Okay, delegate of Denmark, you have been recognized. Brazil, you have been recognized. Brazil. Brazil. Okay, and then China. Okay. Okay. Indonesia and Russia, you have voted in favor of this motion. Don't you want to be enlisted? Okay, under the chair's discretion, we will invite Indonesia and Russian Federation to speak on this motion. Okay, thank you very much, technician. Okay, the first one to speak upon this motion is the delegate of France. France, your 2 minute speaking time starts whenever you are.
Thank you, Chair, for the recognition. Perhaps to simplify this topic, what France is trying to say is that there are a lot of countries in this forum right now who are saying we're going to make these changes, but in the status quo, their actions have not really matched with the sentiments that they've brought in this council. So we really want to make sure that we can follow up on their statements and we can make sure that their real life actions will actually follow through the promises that they're making in this council. So that is the essential goal of this motion right here. So in the status quo in the Paris Agreement, we actually have something known as the Enhanced Transparency Framework. But just to simplify things, it has not really been working. Countries have not really been open about their national data. They've not exactly been transparent in what they're doing to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals and, of course, the Paris Agreement in itself, right? So as what has been mentioned by Delegate of Denmark, China in the status quo is a major polluting country, the #1 country in the world, actually. And we don't really want to isolate China. We also want to give China the opportunity to work together, but we must make sure that your statements in this council can actually be verified in the future. So we're going to give proposals here. We want to make sure that #1, UNFCCC delegates, along with experts from the UN, as well as international observers, can be invited to verify the national data that countries, especially major polluting countries, have per year in assessing the progress towards the Paris Agreement and the 2030 agenda. That is the first step, right? And once again, we're not just mentioning China, we're mentioning about all countries here, specifically because we also want to make this a norm for countries to be able to invite international observers to look at the status, at the current progress that they're having right now, and to also verify that the data that they're giving to the United Nations is true and is also progressing towards the Paris Agreement. That is all. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Delegate of France. The next one to speak is the Delegate of Denmark. Denmark, your 2-minute speaking time starts whenever you're ready.
Okay, thank you, Chair, for the time. I don't want you to be hopeful. I want you to panic. That's what Greta Thunberg, one of the activists of Green Earth, or the activists for actually making the Green Deal happen. So she wanted us to panic. She's 5, she's 10, she's a kid, she's a child, but she already know the impact or the major impact of countries failing to take accountability for their action of polluting the entire world. Countries like Brazil have slowly destroyed, or actually countries such as Brazil actually tries sometimes to destroy the Amazon forest through the massive agricultural or livestock. So these countries such as China also have polluted the earth in such a manner that they take no accountability for it, and they should have, because this is a very important matter, and if it only affected you, we wouldn't care. The rest of the world wouldn't care a single penny. But this pollution, this amount of carbon dioxide released to atmosphere actually impact the entire nations. Nations such as Indonesia, such as the Southeast nation, have climate problems, and the result of them is very, very devastating. Famine, sickness, the entire world being starving, and this is why I believe in France's motion to enhance the accountability measures on major polluting countries, because this is very stressful for countries that has tried to actually save and actually being accountable against the countries which doesn't care at all. So that's why we should panic and not be hateful. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Delegate of Denmark. Okay, for the other delegates as well, just a quick tip. In MUN, you do not represent yourself, so refrain from using first pronouns, I, me, etc., and instead use your delegates, your nation's names that you are representing, or just use we. Okay. Okay. So the next speaker in this list is the Delegate of Brazil. Brazil, your 2-minute speaking time starts whenever you're ready.
Thank you so much, Chair. First of all, Brazil wants for countries like China that has a history of environmentally harmful and exploiting corporations, such as the huge amount of fast fashion companies, and countries like Russia, that is one of the biggest exporter of natural gas, which is one of the fossil fuels, to truly reflect their ratifications of Paris Agreement and Kyoto Protocol. With other countries, of course, proceeding to shift toward green technologies, there is a need for these countries as well. We acknowledge that Brazil have caused some degree of harm environmental harms, but we are actually limiting it by parliamentary discussions in the policy change and the protections under the influence of United Nations as well for the progress of sustainable development goals. But we also demand for countries to more actively participate in the actual practical implementations. I think that Denmark hasn't stated any of the policies or actual practical implementation of their countries, or even what kind of influences they have in international changes. So I think that we need more explanation on. I think that Brazil needs more explanation and practical policy changes for countries to actually showing they are participating and not only just showing problems to other countries as well. That is why Brazil demands for more clarities in this policy changes and to explain your domestic changes, no matter as small as possible, even if you're just limiting 1% of your fossil fuels, that is all right, because that is still counted as participation, and we are grateful for that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Delegate of Brazil. The next one to speak is the Delegate of... Okay, technical problem again. Okay, so please wait, delegates. Okay, the next to speak is the Delegate of China. China, your 2-minute speaking time starts whenever you are ready.
Thank you so much, Chair. Before I want to give you my argument, I want to express my belief in you, delegation of friends, that we have to enhancing accountability measure to major policing countries. But I more believe in delegation of Brazil, because we have to more the action of exploration and establish our renewable energy and our sustainable development technology. This is so important and significant to our world to become in this climate change. But I think that this strive, which is expected by the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, or UNFCCC, and superpower countries and the United Nations, and contribute fund in providing treaties like that to countries in the world. And for example, what is the China is doing the action, not the talking about it, the renewable development and etc. When we move toward the goal of solving sustainable development goals and solving the climate change solution, namely by the green technology, is the action, such as the solar panels and large-scale batteries, and may be very helpful where the China first used green technology as means to tackle air pollution, which is a serious problem for many cities. And I think that's right. If you have the explanation about the pollution countries, but we have to more the action of this. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Delegate of China. Okay, the next to speak is the Delegate of Indonesia. Indonesia, your 2-minute speaking time starts whenever you are ready.
Thank you, Chair. Indonesia, recognizing the struggle, reaffirm the importance of a strategic and solid tactic to assist the transition towards sustainable technology. And Indonesia, as a developing country, calls upon member states to acknowledge that the promoting of sustainable technology is their detrimental aspect to saving the environmental as a concern all nations, both development and developing are facing. So invest the principle of non-exhaustibility and common but differentiated principle to ensure inclusivity of all nations in such efforts, then making recommendation according to each nation state's respective capabilities and respective national action plans. So Indonesia calls upon member states, especially more economic development countries, to collaborate in assistant capacity building in all efforts of the promoting of sustainable technologies toward other countries, especially the less economic development countries. Thank you. Back to the chair.
Thank you very much, Delegate of Indonesia. The next and the last one to speak upon this motion is the delegate of the Russian Federation. Russia, your time to speak starts whenever you are ready. Russia.
Okay, thank you for the time. Russia is really concerned about the enhancing uncountable metropolitan because in Russia, day by day, time by time is hotter than the day before, and Russia wants to Russia wants to level up the research about oil and oil energy because Russia is really concerned about this issue regarding develop the technology, and we still develop the technology to find the solution of the plans of the energy of the energy come from plants or anything gitu. To run and to run and to pass the Paris Agreement, we need to level up the technology of research about. I'm sorry.
Russia, have you done with your speech? Okay. Seeing that Russia has muted themselves, so we will now move back to the motion. Okay, could you clear all motions, please, technician? Okay, thank you very much. Okay. What time is it? Okay, we still have 1 hour in this committee session. Okay, the floor is now open for more points and motions. For those delegates who have points and motion, please raise their hand. Okay, delegate of Brazil, you have been recognized.
Thank you for the recognition, Chair. Delegates of Brazil proposes moderated caucus under the same topic as before. That is the explanation of practical implementation of policy about green technologies. I have typed the topic in the chat for the duration of 10 minutes and individual speaking times of 2 minutes.
Is it 10 or 12?
10 minutes.
Okay, thank you very much, delegate of Brazil. Any other delegates who wish to raise points or motions? Please raise their hand. Okay, France, you have been recognized.
Thank you, Chair. We propose a 12-minute moderated caucus with 2 minutes individual speakers' time to address developing countries' perspectives on the issue. I'm going to also type this on this chat.
Technicians, I believe, is 12. 12 as the total duration. 12 minutes as the total duration. Thank you very much, delegate of France. The motion has been recognized. Submit. Okay. Any other delegates? We will accept one more motions. Counting once, Counting twice. Okay, counting thrice. Okay, we will now vote upon the most destructive motion first. Okay, Rasha. Is there a point, Rasha? Okay. Okay, so I believe you have mistakenly pressed the raise hand button. Okay, so we will now vote upon the most destructive motion. Okay. Denmark,
Thank you
can
for
you
the,
point out?
my apologies. Thank you for the time, Mr. Chair. I want to ask about a specific type of topic that shouldn't have a resolution or a motion be debated first before voting begins. So before the voting begins, shouldn't be a discussion about should this motion be applied or no, or should just be the voting itself. Thank you.
Well, in general settings, the delegates need not, well, in some MUNs, they should not explain why they are proposing this motion. So it is just up, they propose the motion and then it will go voted. Is that what you are looking for the answer then?
I'm actually looking for the answer is that could we debate it, the resolution that has been up for it by a country or a delegate?
Resolution. Could we debate it, a resolution that has been proposed?
Yes.
Well, later on, we will have a draft resolution later on. We could debate about the draft resolution later on. However, if you are talking about the motion, the delegates do not have the right to debate upon the motion if it's not have been passed yet or if it's not been voted yet. Is that clear? Okay.
Yes, it's clear. I'm very sorry, other delegates. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Delegate of Denmark. Okay, so just a little bit note, if the delegates wants to ask question, the correct point is the point of parliamentary inquiry. The point of order is used when there are improper parliamentary procedure conducted by the chair, delegates, or the committee. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so now we will restart. Okay, we will now vote upon the most destructive motion coming from the delegate of France, which is to conduct a moderated caucus with the topic addressing developing countries' perspectives on the issue with duration of 12 minutes and speaking time of 2 minutes. For those in favor of this motion, please raise their hand. Please vote, delegates. Okay. Counting once, counting twice, counting thrice. Okay. 2 votes in favor of this motion. For those against this motion, please raise their hand. Rasha, please vote, Rasha. Okay, seeing 4 votes against this motion fails. Okay, so next up, we will vote upon the motion coming from the delegate of Brazil, which is to conduct a moderated caucus with the topic of explanation of practical implementation of policy about green technologies, with the total duration of 10 minutes with speaking time of 2 minutes. For those in favor of this motion, please raise their hand. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Counting once, counting twice, counting thrice. Okay, 4 votes in favor of this motion. For those against this motion, please raise their hand. Russia, Indonesia, you haven't voted yet. Are you against this motion? Russia, Indonesia, please vote. This is a
Sorry, Chair, my connection.
Okay.
So I'm in favor.
You are in favor of this motion.
Favor.
Russia? Okay,
Russia is unfair for this motion.
In favor as well. Okay. So please, delegates, please vote. If it is parliamentary procedure, you have to vote. It is application within the ROP. Okay, this motion passes coming from the delegate of Brazil. Okay, Brazil, do you want to speak first or last?
I wish to speak first.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay. For delegates who wants to be included in the speakers list for this motion, please raise their hand. Okay, delegate of France, you have been recognized. Any other delegates? Delegate of China, you have been recognized. Denmark, you have been recognized. And we will accept one more. Okay. Okay, under the chair's discretion, we will invite the Russian Federation to speak upon this motion. Russia. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, Brazil, you are first to speak upon this motion. Your 2 minutes speaking time starts whenever you are ready.
Please wait a second. My network is a little bit problematic. Wait. All right, thank you for the recognition, Chair. So Brazil has been one of the leading nations that is in the favor of green technologies implementation as well, because we acknowledge that we have an term of this, so that's why we can participate intensively in the green technologies and advancement. For the details, in 2021, Brazil has registered a historical record in free market power plants expansion with more than 3 gigawatts in price of installed, and 70% of the plants implemented were wind and solar panels. This is also why the price of wind power in our country, in Brazil, has dropped to less than electricity from natural gases. This is also making it accessible to even the lower class economic groups. Renewable energy composes almost 45% of Brazil's primary energy demand, which makes it the least carbon intensive in the world. Brazil's national grid is also made up of almost 80% from renewable sources. There's also an increase of investments, particularly in wind energy, with more than 280 projects in operations. Brazil thinks that all of these implementations are already according to our ratification of Kyoto Protocol and Paris agreements, and we have an advantage in the development of sustainable development goals, in the preventing of climate crisis, and we are thinking of redistributing and supporting for other nations and countries that is in support of preventing climate crisis by extending our hands for the redistribution for the export of these machineries and projects as well. Also, if they need support on the building of the projects in their countries. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Delegate of Brazil. The next one to speak is the Delegate of France.
Thank you, Chair, for the recognition. We have a proverb saying that you cannot have your cake and eat it too. What we're trying to say here is when you expect support from developed countries, particularly in the development of green infrastructure, there also needs to be caveats. There needs to be assurances that these technologies are actually being used for the good and that countries are actually making genuine efforts to actually progress and move forward with green technologies and renewable energy in general. So 2 layers of responses to previous statements. Firstly, we're a bit confused with the framing of China's perspective, saying that, oh, it is between France's proposal versus Brazil's proposal, when it's actually not mutually exclusive. We think that we can actually work hand in hand in a sense that these sustainable development technologies that will be provided to the global South countries can be also matched hand in hand with accountability measures. So we can look at where this green technologies is being applied. We can look at how this green technology is being utilized and whether or not they are actually making an impact to the progression towards the 2030 agenda. That's the first thing that we want to say, right? But secondly, we also want to say that in terms of the practicality of green technology in itself, one, we acknowledge that developing countries have a capacity gap in a sense that they don't have access to these green technologies in first place, right? We think that at the end of the day, UNFCCC is very unique in a sense that we can gather member states not only to provide the role of donators, but also to enhance the knowledge sharing practices, right? What it means is we'll allow these developing countries to eventually have access to produce their own green technologies within the local infrastructures as well. So we have a term called technology transfer. We can use licensing, we can use the waivers of intellectual property, for example, in cooperation with the World Trade Organization and of course respective member states and the domestic industry partners to ensure that there is more access to these green technologies in the future, but it must be coupled with commitments. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Delegate of France. The next one to speak is the Delegate of China.
Thank you so much, Chair. I want to give my response for this motion of the delegates of Brazil that explanation of practical implementation of policy about green technologies. I believe that we have the same thing on this issue because we have to need more action. But I believe too in delegation of France that we have to move to renewable development and etc. But we have to looking for if our solution is not successful, but we have to more the action, not the renewable energy such eco-friendly. The effective of the climate change is by starting strategic talks about the dangers of the carbon emission. So the eco-friendly is not the clearly, but I think that the delegation of the French is right because I think that we have to think about the strategy, but not the technology. But this discussion, I want to share you about the technology is more important than the strategy. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Delegate of China. The next one to speak is the Delegate of Denmark.
Okay, thank you for the time, Chair. I'm quite the delegation of Denmark is quite boggled by the explanation of China, delegation of China, that thinks about the strategy and the technology, and they said they put forward that the technology is more important, and then they put forward that strategy is also important. That which is we are very confused about this explanation since we believe that these two should coexist. Plan, an actual plan between the technology and also the strategy that actually put a significant impact. But first, we need to explain about our explanation about practical implementation of policy, the green technologies. Denmark has stepped forward a plan since since the fall of 70s, which there's a collapse of fossil fuels. So from the 70s to 2005, we have actually increased by 36% in terms of renewable energy, and we have new renewable energy everywhere. In the terms of practical, we have it in the solar panels, we have it in wind panels, and we are one of the most significant contribute to the European Union in terms of renewable energy. And we provide less, actually, is below average, is 8.2 tons of each person, which is the average of European Union people is actually 8.4. But we have to think about this very, very clearly, that countries like Denmark has not as a big impact as country as Brazil or as China or as France, where they have such large demographic and such large impacts. Since like the instance of Brazil having the Amazon forest that provide the oxygen for us to breathe, and countries like China that provides a large demographic of population that can cause more pollutions ever. So this is why we think that it is more important for you guys to actually concern about your plans. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Denmark. The next one and the last one to speak upon this motion is the delegate of the Russian Federation. Russia, your time to speak starts whenever you're ready.
Thank you for the time. To achieve the goal of Paris Agreement, Russia is decided to reduce the oil export to many important. This way is used to address the cause of climate change. This way is also be the Russian solution in reducing the global warming. With decreasing of oil uses, it could help the atmosphere to get to a fresh place and reducing the toxic carbon dioxide. because technology policy is the main driver of Russian interest. When it comes to renewable energy, the country is primarily focused on construction unique renewable energy production capacity. The Russian Federation has set out to increase and diversity its use of renewable, particularly for power generation. Under current plans and policy, renewable will reach nearly 5% of total final energy consumption by 2030. Power is the representing about a fifth of Russian power generation capacity. Is currently the most prominent renewable source along the binary for heating in building and industry. By end of 2015, total installed renewable power generation capacity reached 53.5 gigawatts, of which 51.5 gigawatts came from hydropower and remainder 2 gigawatts from biogenery, wind, solar PV, and geothermal. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Delegate of Russia. With that, this motion has elapsed. We will return back to the motions. First of all, committee, when will the break commence? Committee.
Point of parliamentary inquiry as well, Chair.
Yes. Yes, Vance.
Will you be open to an early break, seeing that we think everyone is a little bit tired and the original schedule says only 10 minutes of break? Maybe the committee could be more open to flexibility.
Yes, I do think that is that should be done. Okay. Committee, seeing that the delegates have worn out and the only available break is later on the 12 p.m. Could you give us permission to take a break for like 15 minutes until 10:35?
Yeah. Yes, sure, Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. So we will now commence the break for 15 minutes until 10:35 GMT plus 7. Okay, until 10:35 a.m. GMT plus 7. We need not propose a motion to suspend the meeting. Okay, so for formality only. Okay, so delegates, please enjoy your break for 15 minutes, and then later on we will meet again at 10:35. Okay, thank you very much. See you soon, delegates.
English Academy sekarang.
I'm going under, and this time I feel there's no one to save me. This all or nothing really got a way of driving me crazy. I need somebody to hear, somebody to know, somebody to have, somebody to hold. It's easy to say, but it's never the same. I guess I kinda like the way you numbed all the pain, and now the day bleeds into nightfall, and you're not here to get me through it all. I let my guard down, and then you pull the rug. I was getting kinda used to being someone you love. I'm going under, and this time I feel there's no one to turn to. This all or nothing way of loving got me sleeping without you. Now I need somebody to know, somebody to hear, somebody to have, just to know how it feels. It's easy to say, but it's never the same. I guess I kinda like the way you helped me escape. Now the day bleeds into nightfall, and you're not here to get me through it all. I let my guard down, and then you pull the rug. I was getting kinda used to being someone you love, and I tend to close my eyes when it hurts. Sometimes I fall into your arms. I'll be safe in your sound till I come back around. For now the day bleeds into nightfall, and you're not here to get me through it all. I let my guard down, and then you pull the rug. I was getting kinda used to being someone you love, but now the day bleeds into nightfall, and you're not here to get me through it all. I let my guard down, and then you pull the rug. I was getting kinda used to being someone you love. I let my guard down, and then you pull the rug. I was getting kinda used to being someone you love. You must think that I'm stupid. You must think that I'm a fool. You must think that I'm new to this, but I've seen this all before. I'm never gonna let you close to me, even though you mean the most to me. 'Cause every time I open up it hurts. So I'm never gonna get too close to you, even when I mean the most to you, in case you go and leave me in the dirt. But every time you hurt me, the less that I cry. And every time you leave me, the quicker these tears dry. And every time you walk out, the less I love you. Baby, we don't stand a chance. It's sad, but it's true. I'm way too good at goodbyes. I'm way too good at goodbyes. I know you're thinking I'm heartless. I know you're thinking I'm cold, but I'm just protecting my innocence. I'm just protecting my soul. I'm never gonna let you close to me, even though you mean the most to me. 'Cause every time I open up it hurts. So I'm never never gonna get too close to you, even when I mean the most to you. In case you go and leave me in the dirt. But every time you hurt me, the less that I cry. And every time you leave me, the quicker this tears dry. And every time you walk out, the less I love you. Baby, we don't stand a chance. It's sad, but it's true. I'm way too good at goodbyes. I'm way too good at goodbyes. No way that you'll see me cry. I'm way too good at goodbyes. No, 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 no way that you'll see me cry. I'm way too good at goodbyes. 'Cause every time you hurt me, the less that I cry. And every time you leave me, the quicker this tears dry. And every time you walk out, the less I love you. Baby, we don't stand a chance. It's sad, but it's true. I'm way too good at goodbyes. Loving can hurt. Loving can hurt sometimes, but it's the only thing that I know. But when it gets hard, you know it can get hard sometimes. It is the only thing makes us feel alive. We keep this love in a photograph. We made these memories for ourselves, where our eyes are never closing, hearts are never broken, time's forever frozen still.
So you can keep me inside the pocket of your ripped jeans, holding me closer till our eyes meet. You won't ever be alone. Wait for me to come home.
Loving can heal. Your loving can mend your soul. And it's the only thing that I know. I swear it will get easier. Remember that with every piece of you. And it's the only thing we take with us when we die. We keep this love in this photograph. We made these memories for ourselves, where our eyes were never closing, our hearts were never broken, and time's forever frozen still.
So you can keep me inside the pocket of your ripped jeans, holding me closer till our eyes meet. You won't ever be alone.
inside the necklace you got when you were 16. Next to your heartbeat where I should be. Keep it deep within your soul. And if you hurt me, that's okay, baby. Only words believe. Inside this pain is you just hold me, and I won't ever let you go. When I'm away, I will remember how you kissed me under the lamppost back on 6th Street, hearing you whisper through the phone, wait for me to come home.
Your first assignment is the
Please return back to your seat, delegates. We will wait for 5 minutes until everybody is assembled. Please return, delegates. Return immediately to your conference room, to the conference. Denmark, Russia, are you there? Two minutes and then we'll start with the delegates that have assembled. Okay, we'll commence the we'll resume the the committee session. Okay, as of now. Okay, so could you please move back to the roll call, please, technician. Technician, roll call, please. Okay. We'll now conduct the roll call again. If I state your name, please state whether you are present or present and voting. Okay. For the sake of time, the chair will only say the countries that have been previously present or present and voting. Okay. Delegate of Brazil.
Present and voting.
Present and voting. Thank you very much. Okay. Delegate of China.
Delegates from China present and voting.
Present and voting. Okay. Thank you very much. The delegate of Denmark.
Denmark is present and voting.
Thank you very much, delegate of Denmark. Okay, delegate of France.
Present and voting, Chair.
Thank you very much, delegate of France. Delegate of Indonesia. Okay, Indonesia is currently having a technical difficulty. Okay, we'll skip Indonesia. Okay, the delegate of Russia. Russia.
The delegate of Russia is present.
Present. Okay. Okay, delegate of Indonesia, are you present or present and voting? Indonesia. Hi. Okay, the delegate of Indonesia is currently having a technical difficulties. We will put them in absent for now. Okay. Okay. The chair will ask them later. Okay, done. Okay. There are 5 delegates who are either present or present and voting. The simple majority is 3 votes, and the two-thirds majority is 4. We will now move to the GSL. Okay, GSL. Okay. For those of you who wants to be included in the general speakers list, please raise their hand. Okay, delegate of France, you have been recognized. Oh no, for those who have been previously enlisted here, you do not need to raise your hand. Okay, France, you have been recognized. Okay. Okay, delegate of Indonesia is present. Apology, technicians, could you please? Okay. Okay. So done. Okay, present. Okay, done. With that, we have 6 delegates who are either present or present. Okay, delegate of China, you have been recognized. Any other delegates? Delegate of Brazil. Yeah, Brazil, you could raise your hand later. Okay. Technicians. Previously there was Russia's name on the list. Could you please add it? Okay. Any other delegates who wants to be included? Okay. Russian Federation after Brazil. Could you please sort that? After Brazil, yeah. Good. Okay. Seeing none, we will now invite Brazil to speak upon this GSL. Brazil, your 1.5 speaking time starts whenever you are ready.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Brazil believes that climate crisis is one of the transnational problem, with the world needing governments all over the world, the whole standing in the forefront of the fight to prevent a huge crisis. Brazil thinks that United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change is the one and only role that is very necessary on projecting the policies concerning prevention of this huge crisis as well. As we know that climate crisis has changed the world forever, with the increasing natural disaster, unstable climate and seasons, and even harms lands and crops, preventing for people to even sustain their livelihood. We think that this livelihoods is the one needed to be safe, because the climate crisis itself is also dangerous for the whole mankind. That is also why the accountability of all countries that is in some degree, of course, contributing to the climate crisis as well, need to be actualized with the implementation of the policies regarding to the climate crisis, such as the advancement of green technologies, the limitation of fossil fuels, the more means to manage waste management and things like that. That is why we believe climate crisis needs to be prevented.
Thank you very much, Delegate of Brazil. Okay. The next one to speak is the delegate of Russia. Russia, you may have the floor.
Okay, exploration of fossil fuel is the issue that cause a lot of climate wars phenomenon this decade. This exploration is already make the atmosphere going to be cruel version time by time. Exploration of atmosphere make a lot of anxiety by NASA researcher that they're really worrying the long lasting of healthy Earth. Therefore, renewable energy is have to be present and will not change the climate, but we have to change the human behavior in using fossil fuels and develop a new technology in finding the new solution of renewable energy, because if we focus on technology or how to find the solution, we just reducing the time, because the only one who use the energy is human. Therefore, human chance is meant to be present. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Delegate of Russia. Okay, next to speak is the Delegate of France. France, your time starts whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Chair, for the recognition. So in this new committee session, we really want to discuss more about the role of the industry in facilitating the transition to sustainable energy. Now, let's all remember the fact that the fossil fuel industry is very prevalent, especially in developing countries, right? It's not only a source of power, it's also a source of employment, which is why it is actually very difficult to imagine a very immediate upheaval of the fossil fuel industry. So there needs to be a transition process. There needs to be a step-by-step approach to ensure that that transition can be smooth and seamless, right? But that also means that we need to engage with industrial actors. What does it mean in the status quo right now? The decisions are made from government to government. Government will agree to do something, but we think that we haven't really considered what actions are we going to take to corporations, especially corporations that are polluting a lot, and secondly, corporations that are producing these fossil fuels themselves, right? There needs to be an incentive for them to cut down, ideally to net zero emissions, but of course, anything will do at this point. So there are many incentives that can be taken within national governments themselves. There could be deterrent measures, for example, the imposition of fines. And of course, there could also be incentive measures, for example, the provision of tax breaks in the event of corporations agreeing with government measures. But that also needs to be facilitated at UNFCCC level to incentivize countries to take these actions nationally. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Delegate of France. The next speaker is the Delegate of China. Hey, wait. Okay, see, are there any delegates who wants to be enlisted in this the list? Okay, delegate of France, you have been recognized. France, not that. Okay. Okay, seeing none, we will proceed with the delegate of China. Delegate of China, your time to speak starts whenever you are ready.
Thank you so much, Chair, for the time and the opportunity. I will give my general speaker list from the topic is transformation of fossil energy into renewable energy as a prevention of the climate change. So I think that, of course, the existence of climate change will have a dangerous impact of human survival, where this extreme hot weather has the potential to make residents lack electricity and water. And we as international community is certainly cannot ignore this problem, this big problem of climate change, which is increasing in our country and in the world, with the impact it has on in the countries itself. And China is committed to collaborating with the countries and international organizations like UNFCCC as agency of United Nations, and collaborating with the other countries by increasing the action like sustainable development technology, and then create the more action about renewable energy, not the talks about that, and reduce the carbon gas emission by the planting forest a large scale, which of course can be done the cooperation with the other countries and international organizations in economic terms in the form of prosecuting super trees in seeds in order to create and quality oxygen with the renewable development and then sustainable development.
Thank you very much, Delegate of China. Okay, we will then move to the motions. Okay, Risha. Okay, we will now move to opening of the floor. For delegates who have points and motions to be raised, please raise that. Okay, Delegate of France, you have been recognized.
Thank you, Chair. We propose a 10-minute moderated caucus with 2 minutes individual speakers time on the topic of improving the Paris Agreement. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Delegate of France. Okay. Any other delegates who wants to raise points or motions? Counting once, counting twice, counting thrice. Okay, we will now vote upon the only motion. Okay, coming from the delegate of France, which is to conduct a moderated caucus with the topic of improving the Paris Agreement, with a total duration of 10 minutes and individual speaking time of 2 minutes. For those in favor of this motion, please raise their hand. Counting once, please vote, delegates. Counting once, counting twice, counting thrice. Okay, there are 4 votes in favor of this motion. For those who are against this motion, please raise their hand. Rasha, are you in favor or against? Please vote, Rasha.
I'm not preferred.
In favor. Okay, so you should have voted in favor. Okay, you should have raised your hand when I ask who's in favor of this motion. Denmark, is that a point? Denmark?
Sorry? Oh,
Okay, no, okay. Okay, I think Brazil is currently undergoing a technical difficulty. So with 4 votes in favor and possibly 1 against, or possibly one against, since we do not know what Brazil's stance upon this motion yet. Okay, we will now pass this motion. This motion passed. Okay, France, do you want to speak first or last?
Please, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Delegate of France. Okay, France, speak first.
Before that, Chair,
Yes. Who's speaking?
I'm so sorry there was again a network disruption. I am in favor of the motion and I already see it passed. So just for your information.
Okay, thank you very much, Delegate of Brazil, for the clarification. So the speakers list will be France speaking first, technician. Okay. Other delegates wants to be included, please raise their hand. Delegate of China, you have been recognized. Delegate of Brazil, you have been recognized. Delegate of Denmark, you have been recognized. We still need one more. Okay, under the chair's discretion, we will invite Indonesia to speak about this one. Okay, and then it's settled. France, you will be the first to speak upon this motion. Your 2-minute speaking time starts whenever you are ready.
Thank you, Chair, for the recognition. We're just going to use an analogy of parenthood here because this situation is like parenthood, right? Of course, you want to do hand-holding for your children to make sure that they can achieve their goals. But if your children is being naughty or undisciplined, you have to take the disciplinary measures, right? And we think that's the same thing that's happening here. Of course, we want to encourage countries to work together. Of course, we want countries to cooperate. But we also need to make sure that there is some accountability and disciplinary measures for countries that are not fulfilling their promises, right? The problem with the status quo is that the Paris Agreement does not actually have any penalties for non-compliance. That means that if countries do not achieve their targets, there is no consequence in principle under the Paris Agreement. Now, of course, we understand that legally speaking, UNFCCC cannot actually impose penalties on countries for not fulfilling the Paris Agreement. What we can do is actions as member states individually. For example, we're going to use deterrence measures, such as having countries put on probation period, for example, if these countries are proven to not really be fulfilling the Paris Agreement and even going against it. For example, by increasing fossil fuel production and so on, we think that there needs to be a name and shame mechanism to make sure that these countries are actually being held accountable by the international community, right? But we also need a carrot and stick approach. There cannot be just sticks, we also need carrots. What it means by this is we also need to recognize countries that are actually actively doing their best to try to improve their conditions to meet the Paris Agreement obligations. There needs to be incentives that are given to the international community, for example, by giving them more trade preferences, for example, or by giving them monetary benefits. There needs to be a carrot and stick approach. We think that will actually help incentivize countries to actually try fulfill the Paris Agreement obligations. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Delegate of France. Next speaker is the Delegate of China. China, your 2-minute speaking time starts whenever you are ready.
Thank you, Chair, for the time. I believe that we have to improve the Paris Agreement. I believe we have to improve the Paris Agreement, but we have to collaborate with our citizens and our country. The Paris Agreement is a momentum global agreement to deal with the climate change, and countries, communities are states of their nationally determined contribution, or NDC, for the period 2022 plus 2022 action. And you have the delegation of France that improving the Paris Agreement is like the benefit to our country and to the world. But we have to improve the Paris Agreement with the kind of improving Paris Agreement with like collaborating and etc. And these activities where this can beneficially for each other to be more focused on dealing of climate change issue. We have to more focus to one thing straight. For the example, we have to signature our Paris Agreement by having renewable energy search account for the country, and 2020 to become our world become safe, and international community have to realize that started actively helping to formulate global to response to climate change, and we have to resist that making the right commitment for this Paris Agreement. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Delegate of China. Next speaker on the list is the Delegate of Brazil. Brazil, your 2 minutes time starts whenever you are ready.
Thank you for your recognition, Chair. Brazil thinks that the improvement of Paris Agreement is plausible and excellence in a way to advance the advance the development of the policies regarding the prevention of climate change as well. As we know that the Kyoto Protocol is also the predecessor of Paris Agreement, and Paris Agreement is also the improvement of Kyoto Protocol as well. So Brazil expects that new agreements, or even an improvement of the Paris Agreement directly, or even a direct new agreement for an advanced form of advancement in this policy. However, Brazil have to mention that some of the delegates that needs to hold their accountability and on their statements, like for example, delegates of China that doesn't ratify or even joins the Paris agreements, but they also that the Paris Agreement is important. We also need to hold some countries that always talk about accountability, but never truly their policy changes or projects in their countries as well as accountable. And we do think that accurate accountability measures and certain degree of consequences, which is later on also need to be based on whether countries ratify the conventions or agreement or not. Brazil still wants to protect each country's sovereign right, and still hold countries accountable for their choices to ratify and agree with the Paris Agreement themselves. That is why Brazil still
Okay, thank you very much, Delegate of Brazil. Okay, the next one to speak is the Delegate of Denmark. Denmark, your 2 minutes speaking time starts whenever you are ready. Asad?
Okay, thank you, Chair, for the recognition. First, I want to clarify some of the points that's stated by the delegation of France. First, they stated about the penalty. About one of the improvement factors is that there should be a penalty from the accountability. So if a country does something wrong, they have to be punished for it. And one of the things they said, and one of the things has been actually implemented, is sanctions, as economical sanctions. One of the is Indonesian cannot actually export palm oil products to the European Union. But actually, this doesn't really work very, very efficiently and very, very well, because countries doesn't really care about the penalty itself, or the sanction is not really efficient enough for countries to care. Countries like China, for example, doesn't really care if a sanction is being put on them, since they can actually trade with the countries that actually have established an agreement with them. So the sanction itself is not really efficient. And I think what we should move more towards is more about the educational purposes, since about these nations, the whole nation, that if we can add that actually there's make the same amount of profit with another energy which is more renewable and more secure for the environment. Because the approach of being actually punishing this country is actually going to be more harmful and more rebellious, and this country will rebel and actually would not actually comply more with the agreement itself. So I think we should have a itself. Once again, I press that if we actually educate them, the amount of resources they have, the amount of value they actually produce, but a safer energy. So our homework is how we actually provide that energy with the same amount of value that can actually be beneficial.
I believe this motion is Indonesia. Your 2 minutes speaking time.
Thank you, Chair. So Indonesia thinks that the Paris Agreement is a monumental global agreement on tackling climate change. So history has that it is possible to achieve a reduction in greenhouse gas emission. History has not that it is possible to achieve a reduction in greenhouse gas emission while still achieving economic growth. as has been shown by a number of development countries. So Indonesia encouraged such a development countries to show leadership by raising their ambitions both in reducing emission and in providing support to development countries in the form of finance, technology, and capacity building. And again, Indonesia, consequent member state, especially more economic development countries, to collaborate in assisting capacity building in all effort of the promotion of sustainable technology. So also recommend that Indonesia also recommends the promotion of development of quality standards such as certifications and or awards for sustainable technology. Thank you, Chair. Back to the Chair.
Thank you very much, Delegate of Indonesia. Again, in motion setting, you do not need to use your time. Okay. We will move back to the motions to the floor. Okay, delegates. Seeing that there are a lot of points and motion, the chair suggests that the delegates propose an unmoderated caucus. However, it is up to the delegates. If they wish to propose another moderated caucus, then it is fine as well. Okay. Okay. The floor is now open for points and motions. Are there any points or motions on the floor? Okay, Delegate of Denmark, you have been recognized.
Okay, thank you, Chair, for the recognition. I once again propose a unmoderated caucus for the time of 15 minutes.
15. Okay.
15, yes, correct.
Okay, that is in order. Okay, the delegate of Brazil, you have raised your hand just now. Are you retracting your proposal?
Yeah, I'm retracting it because my proposal is the same with Denmark.
Okay, so you are seconding it. Okay. Other than unmoderated caucus with the total duration of 15 minutes, are there any points or motions on the floor? Counting once, counting twice, counting thrice, seeing none. We will now vote upon the only motion coming from the delegate of Denmark, which is to conduct an unmoderated caucus with a duration of 15 minutes. For those in favor of this motion, please raise their hand. Okay, counting once, counting twice, counting thrice. Okay. Okay, seeing a unanimous, I just seen 6 votes in favor. This motion automatically passes. Thank you very much. Okay, delegates, your 15 minutes unmoderated caucus starts whenever you are ready.
Okay, thank you. Let me start off. Thank you for councils that has voted the motions of unmoderated caucus. We're here to talk about a lot, but once again, please be respectful and mindful of your time. So I'm here to open the debate, open the discussion. Denmark would like to discuss about the practical solutions once again, because we think about the solutions about the meeting, or the outcome of this meeting is the solution itself. So we talk about penalties, and we talk about education, and we talk about actually transferring technologies to developing nations. So what are countries' thoughts about this? Because we have to come up with some sort of solution after this meeting. And I think we have talked about a lot, but we haven't really come up with some sort of real solution. So yes, I think I would like to, we would like to talk about more. Denmark would like to talk more about that. Thank you.
Sure. And before we continue, just like to note for all delegates that we are expected to kind of write a working paper to just give a preliminary list of our solutions. That's actually with the caveat, firstly, that you don't actually have to work together with everyone here for a working paper. Technically, in principle, you could make 2 separate working papers if there is heavy disagreement between the members. So let's say in this unmoderated caucus, technically speaking, you can actually ask the chair to make a breakout room if you want, if there is significant disagreement among the 2 sides. And so it might be better to work on the solution separately separately rather than arguing and then no solution comes up because people disagree with each other. So that's the first thing we might think about. Yeah. So maybe delegates can also think about that. This is from France's perspective. Number one, we think that there needs to be more mechanisms to actually put countries into compliance. So we are actually still in favor of deterrence measures, and if you disagree with it, that's fine, but we will try to push for this, and we'll be very happy to have a debate more on this later on, but we will be making a working paper, and there's no format for working paper yet, so you can just write in bullet points. What are your ideas, your thoughts? Maybe other countries would like to kind of jump in and see their perspective on this first. Maybe China or Brazil. Oh, Brazil first. Go ahead, Brazil.
All right, thank you, Franz. And second, the idea of accountability and countermeasures by adding consequences for the countries who does not act, for the countries who don't act according to the Paris Agreement, but we are adding a certain limitation. So we will add a procedures of ratification, so the more ratification, so those countries who ratified the agreement, but later on will act on contradicting the agreement, will be the one who is punished because we think that we cannot trample on the sovereignty of the countries. That is the perspective of Brazil as a country that also wants its sovereignty to be protected. And second thing is that we want to all of the countries, and we encourage all of the countries to present their ideas and present their policies about this. We are very open to those who want to be supported in term of projects about renewable energy sources, because Brazil sees some of the countries are relatively inactive and not really engaging to the discussions of policy implementations, which has been discussions. And we also want more point of view from developing countries, especially from Indonesia, as well as Indonesia is also climate crisis as one of the biggest greeneries in the world, and also the first exporter of crude palm oil, which is also somehow destroying the environment. Thank you so much.
Thank you. China, would you like to add on?
Yes, I want to respond to Denmark position that Denmark said that what is the kind of the solution, the best solution of the sustainable development technology? I want to answer that China will have a developed weather modification system by 2025, and this is achieved thanks to breakthroughs in fundamental research and key technologies, as well as improvement in the comprehensive prevention of safety risks. And then in the next 5 years, it is targeted to reach 5.5 million square kilometers, and which more than 1 million square kilometers will be covered by high preventive technology. So I think that it's more clearly we have to bring our technology to reduce the emission. That I think that our country, China, is believing that Brazil, Japan, France, and etc. can collaborating with us with the technology and renewable energy, the implementation of renewable energy with the realization of sustainable development technology.
Okay, Denmark, would you like to respond? And then we'll go to Russia after Denmark.
Okay. So since I haven't actually come up with the first time I talk, we haven't come up with a solution. We fully encourage the proposition from China, which is they have a weather system. Clarified that this point that it's only China, and it's only by 2023. So it takes time, and it's only really for China. So what we want to propose and our solution is that the technologies such as this water and other green technologies has to be distributed equally amongst the countries in the entire world, especially or targeted to countries that polluted more and has caused more environmental destruction. So we believe that the solution is that technologies has to be distributed equally amongst the countries. Thank you.
Delegate of Russia, would you like to add on to this discussion? Sorry, am I audible? Oh yeah, Delegate of Russia, please go ahead.
Okay. As we know, many country will not run in the Paris Agreement, but we all improve our way to run the Paris Agreement, and Russia is believed that we cannot change the climate and transform the energy on anything itu. Russia believe that we have to change the human behavior, because human is one of the person who use the technology and use the energy. We also don't have to and developing technology in finding the solution, but we have to find the solution how to change the human behavior in using energy in polluting the atmosphere and anything, because in this earth not only human that live in the earth in the earth, but there's an animal, there's a plant, there's a other person. And thank you.
Right, Denmark, would you like to respond?
Yeah, the countries of Denmark condemns Russian behaviors, and we think that it is very, very hypocritical to say that we have to change human behavior when you try to attack and invade Ukraine, thus for resulting in catastrophic failures in the European Union's on energy crisis. So I think it is far more than just a human behavior, because you can only to some extension provide a solution by actually solving human behavior, because one of the ways is that human needs to travel, and traveling is easier because there's fossil fuels that actually runs the train, runs the car. So what we're trying to say here is that either we say that we have to have more technologies so we can have more alternative and safer energies, and also we have to have a sanction or a penalty for those nations who doesn't want to use this renewable energy. So we're not just saying that it is about human behavior, because I think for human behaviors, Russian behavior all this time has been condemned and has been the worst above us all. Thank you.
We have a question to Delegate of Denmark. So are you actually in favor of using penalty measures for countries that are against progression towards Paris Agreement? Can we have some clarification?
Oh, yeah. We believe as Denmark, we support that, but we still pushes our agenda, which is that we have to technologies here, a lot of the green technologies, so more nations has to actually acquire technologies. Doesn't mean we doesn't agree, but we still pushes on agreed more about the technology sharing. Is that understood?
Okay, we think we can basically, you're okay with that, but not as a first measure. Yes, that's fine. So we just want to ask China as well, considering probably your stance is also at odds with other areas as well. So probably a question also to Brazil, Denmark, and Russia as well. Would you want to make one working paper for the entire council, or do you want to split into breakout rooms for two different working papers? Anyone can just unmute themselves and just say.
All right. I want to I want to speak about this. Yeah, the first one, I want to respond to the friend's idea of working paper. I actually really want to have a working paper that is just unanimously one working paper. As I have understood, we all have one sentiment that is to prevent further climate crisis, and Brazil thinks that many countries are actually agree on the proposals or like solutions proposed in the moderated cost decisions. However, I also want to second Denmark delegate's statement of regarding to Russia, because Russia's invasion to Ukraine has also led to European Union's countries that is previously depends on actually referred back to the charcoal energy, because there's a limitation of energy, and we think that that is also the problem of Russia and EU countries for not choosing alternative energy as well. I think delegates front also need to discuss about the issue regarding European Union, as you are one of the main members of European Union, regarding the renewables energies and the shifting after the Ukrainian conflict.
Denmark, would you like to speak? Oh, Denmark is not. Oh, Denmark. Yeah, okay. Denmark, you have the floor.
My apologies. My connection is really worsening right now. So can you repeat the question?
Sure. If you want to add on to the discussion on the working paper, and Brazil also talked about the EU as well, but maybe just on the working paper, would you like to give your opinion?
Yeah, we strongly agree with the statement of from Brazil that we have to have one working paper, because I think the solution or the purpose first is the purpose. We have the same purpose and the same sentiment as me and China have, which is to decrease the Denmark and China have, which is to decrease the further destruction of the climate. And the second, we just have different kind of solution how to achieve it. And I think that with this technology sharing and with the sanction, that to make sure that people actually do what they actually needs to do to solve this problem, I think we highly agree on the one working.
Okay, since the delegate of China is not here, delegate of Russia, what is your perspective on things? Oh, I think it's a bit laggy. I don't know if it's on my side or not. But okay, maybe I'll just assume there's some internet lag. We have 23 seconds left. Technically speaking, we could have an additional unmoderated caucus, but I think it might be better to have a moderated caucus to discuss what we want to put in the working paper. So once the delegates have 2 minutes to deliver their own proposals, then after that we can do an unmod after that to just put in those proposals and have a working paper. That's the perspective. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, delegates. Your unmoderated caucus has elapsed. Okay, so now the chairs under the committee discretion would like to give the delegates options. Would you like a break starting from now until 11:40, of which later on the committee session, the last committee session for today, will be extended to 12. Will be extended by 5 minutes, or you would not get any break until the end of the committee session. Which one would you like, delegates? A break sounds good.
Yes, a break sounds very good. I opt for a break.
Okay, so in addition to that, the break you could use, the delegates could use the break to discuss their proposals or their plans or discuss anything. Okay, but if you remember, if you are discussing about substantive topic regarding the conference, use English. If you are talking about anything else, you could use any other languages. Okay. So under the chair's discretion, this committee session is now suspended. We will see you again at 11:40, and then we will continue the committee session. Take a rest, delegate. Take a break, delegates, and please return immediately at 11:40 a.m. GMT 7. Thank you very much.
Baru.
No one to save me. This all or nothing really got a way of driving me crazy. I need somebody to hear, somebody to know, somebody to have, somebody to hold. It's easy to say, but it's never the same. I guess I kinda like the way you numbed all the pain, and now the day bleeds into nightfall, and you're not here to get me through it all. I let my guard down, and then you pull the rug. I was getting kinda used to being someone you love. I'm going under, and this time I feel there's no one to turn to. This all or nothing way of loving got me sleeping without you. Now I need somebody to know, somebody to hear, somebody to have, just to know how it feels. It's easy to say, but it's never the same. I guess I kinda like the way you helped me escape. And now the day bleeds into nightfall, and you're not here to get me through it all. I let my guard down, and then you pull the rug. I was getting kinda used to being someone you love, and I tend to close my eyes when it hurts. Sometimes I fall into your arms. I'll be safe in your sound till I come back around. But now the day bleeds into nightfall, and you're not here to get me through it all. I let my guard down, and then you pull the rug. I was getting kinda used to being someone you love, but now the day bleeds into nightfall, and you're not here to get me through it all. I let my guard down, and then you pull the rug. I was getting kinda used to being someone you love. I let my guard down, and then you pull the rug. I was getting kinda used to being someone you love. You must think that I'm stupid. You must think that I'm a fool. You must think that I'm new to this, but I've seen this all before. I'm never gonna let you close to me, even though you mean the most to me. 'Cause every time I open up it hurts. So I'm never gonna get too close to you, even when I mean the most to you, in case you go and leave me in the dirt. But every time you hurt me, the less that I cry. And every time you leave me, the quicker these tears dry. And every time you walk out, the less I love you. Baby, we don't stand a chance. It's sad, but it's true. I'm way too good at goodbyes. I'm way too good at goodbyes. I know you're thinking I'm heartless. I know you're thinking I'm cold. just protecting my innocence. I'm just protecting my soul. I'm never gonna let you close to me, even though you mean the most to me. 'Cause every time I open up it hurts. So I'm never gonna get too close to you, even when I mean the most to you, in case you go and leave me in the dirt. But every time you hurt me, the less that I cry. And every time you leave me, the quicker these tears dry. And every time you walk out, the less I love you. Baby, we don't stand a chance. It's sad, but it's true. I'm way too good at goodbyes. I'm way too good at goodbyes. No way that you'll see me cry. I'm way too good at goodbyes. No, 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 no way that you'll see me cry. I'm way too good at goodbyes. 'Cause every time you hurt me, the less that I cry. And every time you leave me, the quicker these tears dry. And every time you walk out, the less I love you. Baby, we don't stand a chance. It's sad, but it's true. I'm way too good at goodbyes. Loving can hurt. Loving can hurt sometimes, but it's the only thing that I know. When it gets hard, you know it can get hard sometimes. It is the only thing makes us feel alive. We keep this love in a photograph. We made these memories for ourselves, where our eyes are never closing, hearts are never broken, time's forever frozen still.
So you can keep me inside the pocket of your ripped jeans, holding me closer till our eyes meet. You won't ever be alone. Wait for me to come home.
Loving can heal. Your loving can mend your soul, and it's the only thing that I know. I swear it will get easier. Remember that with every piece of you, and it's the only thing we take with us when we die. We keep this love in this photograph. We made these memories for ourselves, where our eyes were never closing, our hearts were never broken, and time's forever frozen still.
So you can keep me inside the pocket of your ripped jeans, holding me closer till our eyes meet. You won't ever be alone. And if you hurt me, well, that's okay, baby. Only words believe. And inside these pages, you just hold me, and I won't ever let you go. Wait for me to come home.
Wait for me to come home.
Wait for me to come home.
Wait for me to come home. Oh, and you can find me inside the necklace you got when you were 16. Next to your heartbeat where I should be. Keep it deep within your soul. And if you hurt me, that's okay, baby. Only words bleed. Inside this pain is you. Just hold me, and I won't ever let you go. When I'm away, I will remember how you kissed me under the lamppost back on 6th Street. Hearing you whisper through the phone, wait for me to come home.
Meet Filmora 11, the video editor that can do more.
And I just can't get enough. Red cups and sweaty bodies everywhere. Hands in the air like we don't care. Cause we came to have so much fun now. Got somebody here, might be the one now.
If you're not ready to go home, can I get a hell no? Cause we're gonna go all night till we see the sunlight, alright.
So la-da-dee-da-dee, we like to party. Dancing you and me, doing whatever we want. And this is our house, and this is our rules. And we can't stop, and we won't stop. Can't you see it's we who own the night?
Can't you see it's we who about that life?
And we can't stop, and we won't stop. We run things don't run. We
don't take nothing from nobody.
Yeah, yeah.
To my homegirls just tryna live it up, shaking it like they can't get enough. Remember, only God can judge us. Forget the haters, cause somebody loves ya.
Memories made till the night's through, surrounded by the ones who love you. We all so turned up here, getting turned up, yeah.
So la-da-dee-da-dee, we like to party, dancing you and me, doing whatever we want. This is our house, this is our rules,
and we can't stop, and we won't stop. Can't you see it's we who own the night?
Can't you see it's we who about that life?
And we can't stop, and we won't stop. We run things don't run. We don't take nothing from nobody. Yeah, yeah. It's our party, we can do what we want to. It's our house, we can love what we want to.
It's our song, we can sing if we want to. It's my mouth, I can say what I want to.
And we can't stop, and we won't stop.
Can't you see it's we who own the night? Can't you see it's we who about that life?
And we can't stop, and we won't stop. We run things don't run. We don't take nothing from nobody. Yeah, yeah. It's our party, we can do what we want to. It's our house, we can love what we want
Can't you
to.
see it's we who own the night? Can't you see it's we who about that life?
It's our song, we can sing if we want to. It's my...
Delegates, please return immediately to the conference room. Thank you. Delegates, please turn on your camera and return back to the conference room. Thank you very much. We will wait for 2 minutes, hopefully. Okay, seems like all the delegates have returned. Okay, so we'll now conduct roll call again. If I state your country's name, please state whether you are present or present and voting. Okay, so delegate of Brazil. Delegate of Brazil.
Present and voting. Present and voting. Present and voting is.
Thank you very much. Yes, thank you very much, delegate of Brazil. Delegate of China.
Delegates from China, present and voting.
Thank you very much, delegate of China. And the delegate of Denmark.
Present voting.
Thank you very much, delegate of Denmark. Delegate of France.
Present and voting. We also have a parliamentary question, Chair.
Yes.
Is there like a specific deadline for working paper or draft resolution, or is it maybe just till tomorrow?
Okay, so the working papers deadline is tonight at 23:59 p.m. GMT +7. However, and then before the committee session starts tomorrow, before the last committee session starts tomorrow, that is the deadline for the draft resolution. Okay, thank you very much for the question, Franz. Okay, next up. Scroll down, technician. Okay, the delegate of Indonesia.
Thank you, Chair. The delegate of Indonesia is present and voting.
Thank you very much, delegate of Indonesia. Delegate of Russia.
The delegate of Russia is present.
Thank you very much. Present. Okay, done. Okay, we will move to the GSL. For those of you who wants to be included in this general speakers list, please raise their hand. Please raise your hand. Okay, China, you have been recognized. Brazil, you have been recognized. Counting once, counting twice. Okay. Okay, we will now give the floor to Franz to speak upon this GSL. Franz, your 1.5 minutes speaking time starts whenever you're ready.
Thank you very much, Chair, for the recognition. So as stated, we're very looking forward to making of working paper. Now we know that the deadline is tonight, but we think that we don't really need to go further because first things first, working paper is still a draft. you don't really need to expound on specific ideas. And secondly, we think even though there is a lot of discussion, but we also really want to hear from other delegates as well if they have any concerns or if they have any topics that they felt have not really been covered today. So here is what Franz is proposing. After this, we want a moderated caucus, perhaps just to discuss about the proposals that we want to bring forward into the working paper. And afterwards, we think we can just have a short unmoderated caucus just to put everything down in bullet point form so that we have something to give at the end of the first day. Now, what France actually wants is, of course, threefold. Firstly, we want more compliance measures for the Paris Agreement. We want to make sure that there are deterrence efforts. We want to make sure that there are incentive efforts as well for countries. Secondly, we also want to put the focus on developing countries. We want to help them in capacity building and technological transfers. That is the second most important thing that we also want to focus on. And third, we also really want to look into industrial relations. How do we perceive, let's say, fossil fuel companies, and how do we perceive companies that are polluting? What are the actions that we plan to take on them? We think at the end of the day that will be quite productive for the working paper. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Delegate of France. The next speaker is the Delegate of China. China, your 1 minute and a half speaking time starts whenever you're ready.
Thank you so much for the time, Chair. So in exchange, I want to give in my general speaker list again, that to shame the development of climate change problems that are increasing in the world. From China seeks to establish cooperation between countries and provide solution and contribute to reducing climate change that has occurred. This is to our discussion with our next working paper of the aspect in overcoming the problems of climate change issues as follows. The first is move with preventive efforts to communities affected by climate change issues by starting strategic talks about the dangers of carbon emission through eco-friendly environment management that are calling with each other. Now we talk about renewable development, but we talk about sustainable development technology. And then the second is strive for preventive through green technology on large scale. We have to collaborate with with other countries like Brazil, Denmark, Russia, and etc. This strive, which is expected by United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change or UNFCCC, superpower and countries and developed countries and etc. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, China. Okay, we will now move to the floor, the opening of the floor. Could you reset? Reset. Okay, thank you very much. Move to motions. Okay, the floor is now open for points or motions. For those delegates who wants to raise points or motion, please raise them. Okay, France, you have been recognized.
Thank you, Chair. We propose a moderated caucus. Total time is 12. Individual speakers' time is 2 to discuss proposals for the working paper. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Delegate of France. That is in order. Proposals for working paper. Yeah, proposal for the WebA. Okay, that is good enough. Okay, Delegate of China, you have been recognized.
I want to give my moderate coaches with the topic is the purpose of sustainable development technology further.
Sustainable development technology further.
Yes.
Okay.
The duration is 15 minutes and individual speaking time is 3 minutes.
Okay, development technology further. Okay. Is that fine with you, Delegate of China, with the topic?
Sorry, what's there?
Okay. Do you find with the topic of your
The topic is the purpose of sustainable development technology further.
Yeah. Okay, so technicians, could you amend the topic? Okay, so another motion.
Sorry, for individual speaking time is 2 minutes, not 3 minutes.
If you wish to conduct the moderated caucus with a 2 minutes for individual speaking time, then the duration must be amended to either 16 or 14 or any other. Okay. The individual speaking time is 2. However, the duration would not be compatible with the individual speaking time. China, would you like to up to either 14 or 16?
16.
16 minutes. Okay. 16 and the individual speaking time is 2. Okay, submit. China. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, China. There is an order. Delegate of Brazil, you have been recognized.
Brazil proposes for unmoderated caucus for 10 minutes.
Okay, there is an order. Delegate of Brazil. Okay. Under the degree of the disruptiveness, we will now first vote upon the delegate of Brazil's motion to conduct a moderated caucus for the duration of 10 minutes. For those in favor of this motion, please raise their hand. Counting once, counting twice, counting thrice. There are votes, 4 votes. There are 5 votes in favor. Okay. For those against this motion, please raise their hand. Okay, 1 votes against this motion. Okay, so this motion passes with 5 votes in favor. Okay, delegates, your 10-minute unmoderated caucus starts whenever you are ready.
Maybe we can start with the actual working paper. So actually we're sharing it in the Zoom chat. So maybe Chair, can we have permission for screen sharing?
Yes, you may.
Yeah, thank you. For the host, can you change the settings? Okay. So maybe yeah, maybe delegates. So you can just add your emails to the list here so that you can have edit access. I think everyone still has edit access anyway, but if you don't want your contributions to be anonymous, just add your email here. I think that's possible. But I think you can also add your country to signatories. So just to show that you contributed to the paper. So it's in alphabetical order using the country's official name. So let's say Kingdom of Denmark. So maybe you can write down your country name in signatories. So there's no formal format for working paper. So you can, I think bullet points will be fine. I divide this into short-term and long-term solutions. So maybe anyone can just write anything and then, you know, we can work, I guess, in silence. And if there's any concerns, someone can just unmute and ask, is there an issue with this? Is everything okay? Or please unmute.
I want to, am I audible? No apologies. Okay, thank you. Okay, so what I want to say is that, so what if we so we have a limited time here, so it's about 10 minutes. What if after, maybe in the afternoon or in the night, we conduct an unofficial meeting between the delegates to actually discuss it? So between the times from this 12, or sorry, the 11th o'clock until the 8th o'clock, let's say, we just work in silence, and then after the meeting, to discuss our disagreements and like shape it up a little bit, make sure that we're all on the same boat and all the same thing, like all the same brain. So yeah, what about what about that?
Yeah, I have no issues with this. I'm actually joining the UN Women Committee after this, so maybe at night that'll be fine. Is everyone okay with meeting informally at night today?
I'm okay with that.
When is a good time? Maybe everyone can just kind of write down their preferred time in the chat box so that we can meet. Will 8 p.m. GMT plus 7 be okay for everyone? Or maybe like, would you like to meet like after? Okay, how about everyone else? What about 8 p.m. GMT plus 7? Okay.
I think that's right because we have any activities.
Denmark, is it okay with you?
My apologies. I don't understand GMT's time. Is it WIB or
Jakarta time. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Thank you. My apologies.
Will 8 p.m. Jakarta time be okay for you, Denmark?
Yeah, we'll be fine.
Okay. So maybe someone can send I don't have a premium Zoom, or if you have Gmeets, someone can send it to the WhatsApp group chat, and we can meet at 8 p.m. Of course, it's very informal. So if you can't actually come, I think it's fine. But I'll just put it in my calendar as well.
Do you mind making an informal group so you can put the Zoom link right now? So it's like an informal group in WhatsApp.
I think the chairs wouldn't mind if we put the link in the official group. I think that should be okay.
Yes, that is okay.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Okay. I think we'll be fine to just send that in the official group chat. Shouldn't be an issue. Yeah, if the admin is fine with that. Yeah, maybe someone can send a link, like make a Zoom link for that. If the admin is willing to. Yeah, okay. In that case, to be honest, we don't really have like much time for this conference. So I guess we, as what Denmark said, maybe we can just work in silence. And after this, we can finish the day one for UNFCCC.
Okay. So before we end everything, but I think I just want to clarify a few things. So maybe you can friends, you can continue this, but I think you have to be really, really precise with what you want on the paper. So it's like if you want something, just don't talk about, okay, I want climate change to be gone. No. You have to like provide an actual solution on how your country. So it's like you type, okay, I want technological sharing in weather system and so on. And then you type by China, or like in the thing, you type by China, or like, yeah. So it's actually an executable or a practical plan that can actually be implemented, not just a dream, just like I want this and this should happen. No. Just an actual plan that can actually step by step being done, and the impact will be either long term or short term. So yeah, I think you have to be So there's no misunderstanding.
Yeah, and for countries, for delegates that cannot come to the meeting tonight, maybe you can also send to the WhatsApp group chat what you want, so that we can kind of put that in the working paper. So that will kind of help everyone. Yeah, I don't really have any comments. It's about to end anyway, so Let's just work until the time, and then we'll just call it a day.
I think China would want to join in. China?
Yes, I want to respond to delegates of Denmark. I agree with you because these issues of climate change is not completely clearly, but we as international community, we have to doing this discussion for see the solution, the best solution for this climate change. I think that's right because we have to talking about renewable energy and we have to talking about sustainable development. But I think that's for the impact of our country and the impact of our world is more than important if it just so like that, I think.
Of China finish, Brazil wants to add things as well. Brazil really hopes for all member states and delegates to give as many options in long-term solutions, both long-term and short-term solutions, as much as possible, so we can have a variety of choices, and then just filters what is the few solutions that will be the best for all of us, because we also will have to address some issues like economic issue that has been proposed by delegate before, something like how fossil fuel is actually still very significant to some of the countries' economy, but Brazil also wants to proposes on how fossil fuel needs to be limited. So I think there needs to be a consideration and compromise about this. So Brazil hopes that the discussion later on in this night will resolve these dilemmatic issues as well. And I really hope that the practical issues that is proposed by all of the countries will really be significant as well. Thank you so much, delegates.
Yeah, so since we only have 20 seconds left, and after this probably we'll finish things up. So maybe for the committee, kindly make a Zoom link if possible. If not, just tell us and maybe one of us will do it. And yeah, for those in UN Women, see you later. For those who aren't going for UN Women, thank you very much, everyone. A great work for day one.
Oh yeah, we still actually have roughly 13 minutes. However, committee, would you mind if we conclude the first day, like right now, since the delegates have stated that they wanted to conclude the first day? Committee?
Sorry, Chair, can you repeat, please?
So the delegates have stated that they wanted to conclude this committee session as the last for this day of conference. Could that be in order, since there is still roughly 12 minutes as of now?
Yes, sure. We follow all your decision, Chair. We'll try to facilitate anything the delegates needs and also the chair needs.
Okay, then. Okay, so delegates, thank you very much. So this is the last committee session for today's conference for the UNFCCC Council. It was pretty much a fruitful discussion. There are a lot of critical junctures. There are a lot of disagreements. Well, for some delegates, the chairs suggest that this delegate should structure more on their speeches, speak more clearly. If it's helpful, speak more slowly. It's never wrong to speak more slowly and to structure your speeches so that you won't be stumbling on your own feet. You could reiterate your position better. You could reiterate your points better. So it does not contradict what you want to say earlier. Okay. Other than that, it was fruitful. The delegates have mentioned a lot of things, have been very, very active. Okay, for those of you who had felt that they are not active enough, please, tomorrow, please be active, since participation is very, very crucial for the making of the solutions and later of the making of the working paper and also the draft resolution. Okay, thank you very much, delegates. For those of you who will straight up continue to the UN Women Council, good luck. Get some break, get some rest. And for those of you who will continue tomorrow, take a rest and then start to think about the working paper, etc. Thank you very much, delegates. See you tomorrow or see you later. Thank you very much. See you soon.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, everyone.